This is a place where more wealth is concentrated per square foot than almost anywhere else on Earth. It is a realm of glittering promise and silent transactions, a nexus where the raw beauty of the Earth's deepest treasures meets the intricate machinery of global commerce. The Antwerp Diamond District is not a sprawling metropolis, nor a vast industrial complex. Instead, it is a deceptively small three-block radius, a compact and historic enclave nestled in the very heart of Belgium. To the casual observer, perhaps a tourist wandering its charming cobbled streets, it appears to be nothing more than just another quaint European neighborhood, lined with ancient stately buildings whose inner faces, though grand, hint only at centuries of commerce and quiet prosperity. Yet this perception is a profound illusion. To the world's elite, to the special few who truly understand the immense weight, the intrinsic value, and the glittering, almost hypnotic allure of precious stones, this unassuming district is recognized as the undisputed and unyielding capital of the global diamond trade. It is a realm where fortunes are silently traded with a nod and a handshake, where the gleam of billions of dollars in raw and polished gems is a daily tangible reality, and where the very air seems to hum with the unspoken staggering value contained within its venerable time-honored walls. This district is not merely a location on a map, it is a living, breathing entity, a vibrant nexus of international commerce, unparalleled luxury, and a deeply ingrained culture of trust. For over 500 years, since the dawn of the Renaissance, this district has stood as the global epicenter of brilliance and immense value. Its rich and complex history is etched not only in the official annals of international trade, but also in the very cobblestones of its narrow winding lanes, a narrative intricately woven from threads of meticulous craftsmanship, shrewd negotiation, and an unwavering, almost sacred code of trust passed down through generations. The journey of Antwerp to this prominent position began as early as the 15th century. Its strategic geographical location on the River Scheldt, offering convenient and direct access to the vast North Sea, naturally transformed it into a pivotal trading hub for all of Europe. By the 16th century, Antwerp had firmly established itself not just as a trading post, but as a leading center for all manner of luxury goods, with diamonds gradually taking center stage. The city attracted a highly skilled workforce of cutters, polishers, and master artisans whose hands transformed rough, unyielding stones into dazzling gems, further cementing Antwerp's thriving reputation. This deep heritage of exquisite craftsmanship, combined with a robust and sophisticated network of international traders, brokers, and financiers, cultivated an environment of unparalleled expertise, discreet dealings, and profound mutual trust. Generations of families, many from the Jewish community, built their livelihoods and reputations within this tightly knit district, where deals worth millions were often sealed with nothing more than a handshake and a shared understanding of integrity, a testament to a bygone era of commerce that still thrives today. Every single year, an astonishing 80% of the world's rough diamonds, stones freshly unearthed from the Earth's deepest veins, still bearing the marks of their geological birth, pass through Antwerp district. This represents a staggering $50 billion worth of raw beauty, destined for transformation from mere minerals into symbols of love, status, and enduring valuable jewels. These are the very stones that will eventually be carefully cut with laser precision, flawlessly polished to mirror-like perfection, and exquisitely set into customized designs to adorn the most precious engagement rings, grace the most luxurious royal crowns of kings and emperors, and sparkle around the necks of the world's most celebrated figures on red carpets and grand stages. It is a place deeply rooted in tradition, where ancient customs and time-honored practices meet the cutting-edge demands of modern commerce, and built upon an unspoken code of absolute trust. A city whose very economic foundation rests on the handshake deals sealed by generations of dedicated diamond dealers. A tightly knit community bound by shared heritage, mutual respect, and a profound understanding of their unique and secretive industry. And at its very core, within the seemingly impenetrable walls of a fortress-like building known simply as the Antwerp World Diamond Center, lies a vault that was not merely designed but engineered with obsessive precision, loudly proclaimed to be impregnable by its creators and guardians, and universally believed by all who knew of it to be absolutely inaccessible. It was the ultimate repository of concentrated wealth, a sample of security that had never been truly challenged or defeated. Its very existence was a declaration of invulnerability. This vault is a marvel of modern security engineering and a profound proof to humanity's relentless, almost obsessive pursuit of absolute protection for its most valuable assets. It is situated 2 floors deep beneath the street level, a subterranean stronghold buried beneath layers of urban life and daily activity. It is guarded by an imposing 3-ton steel and concrete door, a monolithic barrier forged with immense strength and reinforced with advanced materials designed specifically to withstand any conceivable assault like explosive force, sophisticated drilling, or any form of force attack imaginable. This colossal entrance is secured by a combination lock of almost infinite complexity, boasting 100 million possible permutations, a numerical combination specifically designed to defy any attempt of forced entry or casual guessing, rendering conventional methods of penetration into failure. The number of combinations meant that even a lifetime of random attempts would never be sufficient to open it. Beyond this formidable door, a series of interlocking and redundant defenses stands sentinel, forming an invincible multi-layered shield that would make any intruder pause. These defenses include infrared heat detectors that can sense the faintest change in thermal signature, capable of registering the warmth of a human presence even in the deepest shadows of the vault, making undercover movement virtually impossible. Also, motion detectors, sensitive enough to register the slightest disturbance in the air, creating an invincible web of vigilance that no intruder could hope to cross unseen. Moreover, a seismic sensor floor, engineered with microscopic precision to detect even the most subtle vibrations, capable of altering and alerting to the whisper of even the softest footfall or the faintest tremor of a drill on its surface. Finally, personalized magnetic key required for each of the 400 individual safe deposit boxes contained within. Each one is considered as a mini fortress in its own right, adding yet another layer of individualized security that requires special and specific access. The building itself operates under constant, unwavering surveillance, its every corridor, common area, and hidden nook accurately monitored by a detected private security force, while the entire surrounding district is vigilantly observed by local police, with cameras strategically positioned on every street corner, capturing every movement, every face, every potential anomaly, creating an almost inescapable web of watchfulness that extends far beyond the vault's immediate confines. This vault, this legend of security, this towering symbol of impregnable wealth, was in fact a myth. This illusion of its invincibility was shattered on the quiet weekend of February 15th and 16th, 2003. On those fateful nights, a small, highly skilled team of professional thieves executed a crime so audacious in its ambition, so accurately planned in its every detail, and so flawlessly executed in its initial stages, that it shattered the very foundation of the global diamond industry's confidence and sense of security. They bypassed every single layer of that 10-layer security system that should have been utterly impossible to bypass, a theoretical impossibility made terrifyingly real by their audacious success. With surgical precision and an almost supernatural stealth, they broke into 109 of the 160 safe deposit boxes, leaving behind a scene of chaotic emptiness and the staggering loss of an estimated $100 million in diamonds, gleaming gold, stacks of various international currencies, and priceless jewelry. And then, as if by magic, they simply vanished without a trace, melting back into the shadows of the city, leaving behind only one thing: an unsolved mystery that would forever captivate the world and redefine the very concept of a high-stakes heist, becoming a benchmark for criminal audacity and a haunting legend in the annals of true crime. The sheer scale of the theft, combined with the apparent ease with which it was carried out, sent shockwaves through the security establishment, forcing a re-evaluation of what was truly considered secure.
The question that remained in the aftermath, echoing through the empty vault and across the shaken diamond markets of the world, wasn't merely how they managed to pull off such an impossible accomplishment against such overwhelming odds. The more compelling and profoundly confusing question was why? Why would anyone risk everything, their freedom, their lives, their entire existence for a robbery that seemed destined to fail, so clearly beyond the realm of human possibility? And what truly happens when the greatest thief in the world, a man of quiet cunning, extraordinary patience, and disarming behavior, walks into the lion's den, not armed with a gun or concealed by a mask, but disarming everyone with a simple smile and a 3-year plan that was already set in motion, unfolding silently beneath the noses of those sworn to protect the world's most concentrated wealth? The answers, as they would slowly emerge, would prove to be as complicated and surprising as the heist itself. To truly grasp the audacious scale and accurate precision of the Antwerp diamond heist, one must first fully comprehend the nature of its target, the Antwerp World Diamond Center. This was no ordinary financial institution, no mere bank vault, not a simple secure storage facility located away in a quiet corner. It was in essence the Fort Knox of the global diamond industry, a fortress of security and an almost sacred warehouse of wealth, accurately constructed and nestled deep within a city that had for centuries built its identity and prosperity around the complicated and highly specialized trade of precious stones. The Diamond Center was not just a building, it was the beating heart of an entire global economy. Its foundations were laid upon the principle of absolute, unyielding security, designed to protect the immense fortunes that flowed through its doors daily. Given this immense concentration of wealth, security was not a consideration, it was an absolute obsession, a foundation pillar upon which the entire district operated. Every aspect of daily life, every transaction, every movement within this precious zone was supported by a sophisticated security infrastructure. The entire Diamond District functioned under an elevated state of permanent vigilance. Police patrols were constant and highly visible. Their presence formed a clear and undeniable obstruction to any potential criminals, and their vehicles formed a regular sight on the cobbled streets. Surveillance cameras, numbering in the dozens, perhaps even hundreds, were positioned to cover every inch of every street, every narrow alley, every entrance and exit, creating a comprehensive web of electronic eyes that recorded every moment. Retractable steel bollards that could emerge from the ground within a low hum could be deployed at a moment's notice, effectively sealing off access to the entire area, instantly transforming the bustling streets into an impenetrable zone, trapping any potential getaway vehicles. This was a city that understood the monumental value of its trade, and it spared no expense, no technological advancement, and no human resource in protecting its livelihood and assets. At the heart of this enormous security apparatus stood the Antwerp World Diamond Center itself, a seemingly unremarkable modern building that protected the extraordinary treasures it housed within its inside. From the outside, it appeared to be just another office block, but within lay a secret. It was here, 2 floors deep beneath the bustling street level, in a subterranean chamber engineered for ultimate concealment and protection, where the legendary vault was located. This wasn't just a room carved out of rock, it was an impregnable fortress against any conceivable threat, a true inner sanctum of wealth. The vault was a marvel of engineering, a testament to the unwavering belief that with enough layers of protection, absolute and unbreachable security could truly be achieved. Every aspect of its design spoke of redundancy, resilience, and an almost paranoid commitment to safeguarding its contents, a fortress built against every imaginable form of intrusion. Let us delve deeper into the intricate layers of this supposedly impenetrable fortress, understanding each formidable barrier that the thieves would have to overcome, each technological marvel designed to hinder their ambitions. The first and most formidable obstacle was the main vault door itself. This was no ordinary steel door found in a typical bank, easily defeated by a determined crew. It was a colossal structure, weighing an astonishing 3 tons, a solid monolithic mass of reinforced steel and high-density concrete, crafted to be a physical manifestation of invulnerability. Its thickness measured over 3 feet, a physical barrier designed with one singular purpose: to withstand explosives, industrial drills, high-powered cutting torches, and any form of force attack imaginable, turning even the most powerful tools into useless toys. This door was a symbol of unyielding strength, a silent, immovable guardian that radiated an aura of absolute invincibility, serving as a psychological obstacle as much as a physical one. To gain entry through this monumental door, one needed to complete with its primary locking mechanism, a combination lock of unparalleled complexity. This was not a simple 4-digit code that could be guessed or revealed with modern computing power. This was a dial combination lock with numbers ranging from 0 to 99, requiring 4 precise numbers to be entered in a specific complicated sequence that demanded both knowledge and extreme cleverness. The number of possible permutations was astronomical, a staggering 100 million combinations. To put that into perspective, if one were to try every single combination, even at an impossibly rapid rate of 1 per second, it would take over 3 years of continuous, non-stop attempts to exhaust all possibilities, making a random attack completely impractical. Furthermore, the digits themselves were only visible through a small, almost microscopic lens on the top of the wheel, making it impossible to read the combination from a distance or by casual observation, adding another layer of visual protection. This lock was a masterpiece of mechanical security, designed not just to frustrate but to ultimately defeat any attempt of criminal entry, relying on human fallibility and the vastness of mathematical possibility to ensure its integrity. But the vault door was just the first line of defense. Beyond its immense bulk lay a sophisticated array of electronic and environmental sensors. Each is accurately designed to detect the slightest anomaly, the most subtle intrusion, and the faintest whisper of an unauthorized person. These systems worked in concrete, creating a comprehensive, invincible net that covered every and each square inch of the vault and its approach. The first of these were the infrared heat detectors. These highly sensitive devices were strategically placed throughout the vault antechamber and within the vault itself, constantly scanning for changes in thermal signatures. Any human presence, any body heat, no matter how carefully masked or insulated, would immediately register and trigger an alarm. These weren't just simple motion sensors reacting to gross movement. They were specifically designed to differentiate between ambient temperature fluctuations and the distinct heat signature of a living being, making them incredibly difficult to fool. The act of breathing, the subtle warmth radiating from a hand, the minute radiated heat from a body moving through the space, all of these would be instantly registered and broadcast as an intrusion, alerting security. The challenge posed by these sensors was immense, as they covered virtually every square inch of the vault's interior, leaving no blind spots for an intruder to take advantage of, no cool corners to hide in, no path that wasn't under their thermal gaze. Complementing the infrared detectors were the equally sensitive motion detectors. These devices utilized various technologies, including ultrasonic waves or microwave pulses, to detect movement within their designated zones. Even the slightest displacement of air, the most cautious step, or the slow deliberate shift of a body would be enough to trip these alarms, setting off a cascade of alerts. Their coverage was comprehensive, creating an invisible web that an intruder would have to navigate with impossible precision. The combination of both heat and motion detection meant that just being present, even if one managed to somehow mask their thermal signature, would still trigger an alert if any physical movement occurred, creating a layered defense that was incredibly difficult to dodge and almost impossible to bypass without specialized knowledge. Perhaps the most ingenious and daunting of the vault's internal defenses was the seismic sensor floor. This was not just a solid concrete slab. It was an accurately engineered system designed specifically to detect vibrations. The entire floor was embedded with highly sensitive transducers that could pick up even the faintest tremors, the subtle vibrations caused by footsteps, the scraping of tools across its surface, or the impact of heavy objects being placed down. The underlying idea was simple yet brilliant. Any attempt to drill, cut, or even simply walk across the vault floor would send vibrations through the structure, immediately triggering a silent alarm that would alert off-site security long before any physical breach could be completed. This system was a direct countermeasure to any attempt at physical penetration of the safe deposit boxes themselves, making it virtually impossible to work on them without alerting security.
It was a silent sentinel, always listening, always vigilant, an unseen guardian beneath their feet, ready to betray any forbidden activity. Adding another subtle yet critical layer of complexity was the magnetic field sensor system. This particular defense was integrated directly into the vault door structure, acting as a final invisible seal of integrity. It consisted of two metal plates, one precisely mounted on the vault door itself and the other on the adjacent wall of the vault frame. When the vault door was properly secured and the system armed, these plates formed a continuous, unbroken magnetic field. The moment the door was opened, even by a fraction of an inch, this continuous magnetic field would be broken, instantly triggering a silent alarm. This was a fail-safe mechanism designed to detect any unauthorized opening of the primary barrier, regardless of whether the combination had been cracked or the physical lock manipulated. It was a constant, invisible guard, ensuring the integrity of the vault's sealed environment, a last line of electronic defense that left no room for error. Beyond the main vault door and its complicated array of sensors, the individual safe deposit boxes themselves presented their own formidable security challenges. Each represents a mini puzzle. There were 400 such boxes in total, arranged in neat rows, each functioning as a mini vault within the larger overarching one. Each box was constructed from robust steel and copper, materials specifically chosen for their resistance to prying, drilling, and other forms of forced entry, making them incredibly difficult to breach individually. To open a single safe deposit box, one required not only a unique physical key, but also a three-letter combination, adding a dual lock system to each individual compartment. This meant that even if a thief managed to gain access to the main vault, they would then face the daunting, time-consuming, and logistically nightmarish task of individually breaching hundreds of these similar, equally secure containers. Each three-letter combination had more than 17,000 possibilities, adding another layer of complexity for each and every box, multiplying the effort required exponentially. The volume of individual locks, each requiring its own unique key and combination, created a logistical nightmare for any potential thief, designed to exhaust their time, resources, and patience. The building's internal security was further bolstered by an extensive network of closed-circuit television cameras. These cameras were positioned strategically throughout the building, from the main lobby and high-traffic corridors to the elevator shafts and within the vault antechamber itself, ensuring no area was left unmonitored. Every movement, every entry and exit, every face passing through was accurately recorded on videotape, providing a continuous visual record of all activity, a digital memory of every moment. These feeds were actively monitored around the clock by a dedicated private security force operating from a nerve center located at the building's main entrance, a constant human presence overseeing the electronic eyes. Access to the building was strictly controlled by metal gates, and all visitors were subjected to questioning by vigilant guards, a routine designed to eliminate any suspicious individuals. Even tenants, like the legitimate diamond dealers who rented offices within the center, had to present their ID cards to gain entry, a routine that cultivated a persistent sense of robust security, a daily reaffirmation of the building's impregnability. The overall atmosphere of the Antwerp Diamond District was one of a quiet confidence, almost one air of invincibility that bordered on arrogance. It was a place where security was dominant, where every conceivable precaution had seemingly been taken, where no expense was spared in protecting its glittering assets, a true fortress of finance. The constant police presence was reassuring, the technology cutting edge, and the protocols accurately enforced without exception, creating an environment of perceived absolute safety. The idea of a successful heist, especially one of this magnitude, was considered an absolute impossibility, a fantasy confined to the pages of fiction or the silver screens, never to be realized in the real world. The security systems were not just physical barriers, they were psychological ones too, designed to hold back even the most audacious criminals through their sheer complexity and redundancy, imparting a sense of futility in any potential intruder.
The belief in the vault's absolute impenetrability was deeply ingrained in the minds of those who worked there, a fundamental assumption that their precious assets were safer within its walls than anywhere else in the world, a foundation of their industry. It was a fortress of wealth, a symbol of unyielding security, a testament to human cleverness in protecting what is most valuable. This was the target. This was the challenge, a place where every conceivable vulnerability seemed to have been addressed, where layers upon layers of defense created what was believed to be an unbreachable stronghold. The Antwerp War Diamond Center stood as a monument to security, a defiant declaration that some things, some treasures, were simply beyond the reach of thieves. Or so everyone thought. Every grand design, every impossible achievement, every legendary crime begins with a mind. For the Antwerp diamond heist, that singular calculating mind belonged to Leonardo Notarbartolo. He was not the typical Hollywood thief, a shadowy figure with a history of daring escapes, violent confrontations, or a reputation for brute force. Instead, Notarbartolo was something far more dangerous, far more insidious, a seemingly ordinary man gifted with an extraordinary talent for accurate observation, unwavering patience, and profound social manipulation. His true genius lay not in excessive aggression, but in the quiet art of deception and infiltration. Born in the sun-drenched ancient city of Palermo, Sicily, Notarbartolo's early life and criminal career provided him with a foundational education in the darker arts of the underworld. His background was rooted in petty fraud and minor jewel thefts, a series of smaller scores that over time had improved his skills in deception, cultivated his ability to assess and exploit human vulnerabilities, and deepened his understanding of the intricate dance of criminal enterprise. He was known not for his physical ability or intimidating presence, but for his disarming charm, his remarkable ability to blend seamlessly into any environment, and seemingly innocent attitude that made him appear utterly harmless to those around him. These were not the bombastic traits of a hardened violent criminal, but rather the refined qualities of a seasoned actor, a master of camouflage and personality, capable of playing a role so persuasively that no one, not even the most vigilant security personnel, would ever suspect his true audacious intentions. And it was this very unassuming nature, this quiet confidence, that would ultimately become his most powerful and unexpected weapon in the grand scheme of the heist. In the summer of 12,000, with the new millennium just beginning to unfold, Notarbartolo arrived in Antwerp with a seemingly legitimate and entirely unremarkable purpose. He presented himself as a reputable Italian diamond merchant, a man looking to establish a new business venture in the very heart of the global trade, seeking to capitalize on the city's unparalleled opportunities. He rented a small furnished office within the prestigious Antwerp War Diamond Center itself, a strategic move that would prove to be the cornerstone of his elaborate plan. This was his opening act, the critical first step in an accurately orchestrated, deep-cover infiltration that would span an astonishing 2 years. His presence in the building quickly became routine, almost invisible in its irregularity. Day after day, he would arrive at his office at predictable hours, engage in casual, friendly conversations with the security guards at the entrance, share a coffee and a laugh with other tenants in the communal areas, and slowly become a familiar and trusted fixture in the daily rhythm of the Diamond Center. He was unfailingly polite, sincerely friendly, and utterly unremarkable in a way that made him forgettable yet accepted. No one saw a threat. They saw a fellow professional, a part of the vibrant international community that thrived within these secure walls. This was the true genius of Notarbartolo's approach. He didn't force his way in with violence or explicit aggression. He was in fact invited. He earned trust, not through grand attention-grabbing gestures, but through consistent, unassuming presence, a quiet cultivation of affinity that bypassed all electronic and physical safeguards. During these 2 years, Notarbartolo was engaged in a relentless, silent, and incredibly detailed exploration mission. Every casual interaction, every seemingly insignificant observation was accurately catalogued and became a crucial piece of the complex puzzle he was assembling. He learned the precise shift changes of the security personnel, noting their routines, their habits, and their moments of vulnerability. He tracked the routes they took during their patrols, identifying patterns and potential blind spots. He observed the times they were most vigilant and, more importantly, when their attention might decline due to fatigue. He accurately noted the blind spots of the surveillance cameras, the exact areas where their unblinking gaze didn't reach or where the recordings might be less thoroughly reviewed. He paid obsessive attention to the ordinary overlooked details, the cleaning schedules, the delivery routes, the habits of the building's management, even the specific sounds and echoes within the vault area. He was a sponge, absorbing every piece of information of the building's operations, every subtle vulnerability that the layers of high-tech security might unintentionally overlook, understanding that human systems, not just technological ones, had their weaknesses. His office, strategically located within the building, provided him with unique and legitimate access to the very heart of his target. Crucially, renting an office also legally granted him a safe deposit box within the vault he intended to rob. This was a master stroke of planning and audacity. It allowed him to legally access the vault area itself, to observe its inner workings personnel, and to familiarize himself intimately with the protocols and procedures without raising even the slightest suspicion. He could study the massive vault door up close, examine the individual safe deposit boxes, and note the behavior of the guards responsible for securing the area, all under the appearance and camouflage of a legitimate customer. He was not just casing the joint from the outside, he was living within its walls, breathing its air, becoming an integral part of its ecosystem, an undetected parasite feeding on its perceived strength. Notarbartolo's motivation, as he would later claim in a stunning and controversial twist after his capture, was not simply personal greed. In a surprising and dramatic turn during his trial, he assumed that he was in fact hired by a shadowy figure, a powerful and mysterious diamond merchant known only as the Turk. According to Notarbartolo's testimony, the heist was in fact an elaborate and accurately planned insurance fraud scheme orchestrated by the Turk and a group of corrupt diamond dealers. He claimed the true value of the stolen diamonds was far less than the reported $100 million, and that the entire operation was a theatrical performance designed to allow these corrupt dealers to claim massive insurance payouts on goods they had already secretly removed from the vault, or that were of significantly lower value than declared. While this sensational claim was largely dismissed by Belgian authorities as a desperate attempt to mitigate his sentence and was never fully validated in court, it added another profound layer of plotting and conspiracy to an already sensational story, painting Notarbartolo not just as a common thief, but as a pawn in a larger, more complex, and potentially far more evil game involving the high strengths of the diamond trade. Regardless of the ultimate truth behind this audacious claim, it undeniably underscores Notarbartolo's cunning, his ability to construct and elaborate narratives, even when facing the ugly reality of lengthy imprisonment. Leonardo Notarbartolo was the opposite of the smash-and-grab artist. He was not interested in crude force or impulsive acts. He was a strategist, a long-game player, a chess master of crime who understood implicitly that the greatest security systems, no matter how technologically advanced, could be defeated not by brute force, but by unwavering patience, subtle deception, and most critically, a profound understanding of human nature and its inherent flaws. He saw the cracks in the fortress, not in its impenetrable steel and concrete, but in the predictable routines, the subtle assumptions, and the deeply ingrained trust of the very people who guarded it. He was the quiet man in the corner, the friendly face, the seemingly innocent presence who all the while was accurately dismantling the illusion of impenetrability, one observation, one whispered conversation, one unnoticed detail at a time. He was the true mastermind, not because of his technical expertise with tools or explosives, but because he understood that the most perfect heist wasn't about breaking in. It was in the most profound sense about being let in, subtly, patiently, and without anyone ever realizing it, until it's far too late. No mastermind, however brilliant, can execute a complex operation of this scale alone. Leonardo Notarbartolo understood this implicitly, recognizing that even his extraordinary individual talents required a specialized supporting cast. His true genius lay not just in his own abilities, but in his unparalleled capacity to identify, recruit, and seamlessly assemble a team of highly specialized individuals, each possessing a unique and indispensable skill set critical to overcoming the formidable multi-layer challenges posed by the seemingly impregnable Antwerp War Diamond Center. This collective, a loose yet highly effective affiliation of Italian thieves operating with a shared philosophy of precision and stealth, would come to be known in the annals of criminal history as the School of Turin. This name, while not an official name, perfectly captured their essence, a group that approached theft as a refined craft, an accurate discipline, rather than a crude act of violence. The name itself, School of Turin, evokes a certain old world charm, a sense of artisanal craft and intelligent precision rather than brute force or reckless abandon. This was a crew that valued accurate planning above all else, prioritizing technical expertise, innovative problem solving, and subtle, almost invisible approach over explicit violence or direct confrontation. They were not common thugs, they were professionals, each a master in their chosen illegal craft, operating with a synchronized efficiency that bordered on creativity, a well-oiled machine of deception. While their true identities, beyond Notarbartolo himself, remain largely obscured by aliases and the passage of time, their individual contributions were undeniably indispensable to the Heist's old success, each piece of the puzzle fitting perfectly. First among them, and perhaps the most crucial technical mind after Notarbartolo, was the individual known only as the Genius. This name, far from being an exaggeration, spoke volumes about his extraordinary capabilities. This individual was the team's undisputed electronics expert, a genuine master of alarms, intricate wiring, and sophisticated surveillance systems. His task was perhaps the most critical and complex, to neutralize or bypass the bewildering array of high-tech sensors and security measures that protected the vault. This wasn't about indiscriminately cutting wires or smashing equipment. It required an intimate, almost initiative in understanding of how these complex systems functioned, how their signals could be interrupted and manipulated, and how they could be tricked into believing everything was normal. The Genius was the one who would accurately devise the subtle countermeasures, the ingenious electronic hiding devices, and the precise, almost surgical methods required to render the vault's high-tech defenses utterly blind and deaf to their presence, allowing them to operate in plain sight, undetected. His work was the foundational layer upon which the entire operation rested, ensuring that the team could move through the most secure areas of the Diamond Center without triggering a single alarm, turning the impossible into the probable. Then there was the Keyman, an older, highly skilled individual whose expertise lay in the intricate art of lock picking and key replication. In a word, where every single one of the 400 safe deposit boxes had a unique physical key, and the main vault door itself required a foot-long, two-part, three-dimensional key of unparalleled complexity, the Keyman's role was paramount. He possessed the delicate touch, the unwavering patience, and the profound knowledge of mechanical locks necessary to create perfect, undetectable copies, or to bypass them entirely without leaving a trace. His work was persistent, often performed under immense pressure and the constant threat of discovery, requiring hours of accurate crafting and testing. He was the one who would turn the seemingly impenetrable physical locks into mere obstacles, quite granting access where none should be possible, transforming solid barriers into open doorways. The third key member was known as the Monster. This alias, while perhaps suggesting formidable physical presence, was somewhat misleading in its implication. Indeed, he was described as a tall, powerfully built and muscular man, but his strength and physical power were crucial for tasks requiring precise application of force, not reckless abandon. He wasn't there to smash through walls or pry open doors with crude tools. Instead, his strength was applied with surgical precision for tasks such as carefully moving heavy equipment into position, perhaps manipulating the massive vault door with subtle leverage, or dealing with any unexpected physical obstacles that might arise. He was also reportedly a master of camouflage, capable of seamlessly blending into various environments and adopting different rules, adding yet another layer of deception to the team's operations. His ability to handle the physical demands of the heist, combined with his capacity for subtle infiltration and adaptation, made him an invaluable and versatile asset to the crew. Finally, there was Speedy, a longtime friend and trusted associate of Notarbartolo. While his alias might ironically suggest swiftness or quick action, it was his anxious and somewhat paranoid nature that would, in a cruel twist of fate, play a pivotal and ultimately fatal role in the heist's aftermath. Speedy was entrusted with the crucial task of disposing of the evidence, a job that, despite its apparent simplicity, would prove to be the undoing of the perfect crime. His inclusion in the team, despite his known nature, speaks to the tight-knit nature of Notarbartolo's crew, a group bound not only by shared criminal ambition, but also by deep-seated trust and a long history of working together. This was the core of the School of Turin, a small, highly specialized unit operating with an almost military level of coordination, foresight, and mutual reliance that set them apart from common criminals. They were not a gang of violent thugs driven by impulse. They were craftsmen of crime, each contributing a vital, interlocking piece to Notarbartolo's grand, accurately engineered design. Their success would hinge entirely on their ability to work as a seamless, silent unit, exploiting the subtle, overlooked vulnerabilities of a system that had been designed to be an absolutely impregnable. They were a testament to the idea that in the high-risks world of grand theft, intelligence, accurate planning, and the exploitation of human error could be far more effective and devastating than any weapon. One of the most significant and technically challenging hurdles they faced was the replication of the keys. Each of the 400 individual safe deposit boxes within the vault had a unique physical key, a complex piece of metal that was seemingly impossible to duplicate without direct access. Furthermore, the main vault door itself was secured by an even more intricate, foot-long, two-part, three-dimensional key of unparalleled complexity, a true marvel of locksmithing designed to be unique and uncopyable. The keyman, with his extraordinary and almost legendary skill, was tasked with this delicate and high-stakes operation. During Notarbartolo's frequent, legitimate visits to the Diamond Center, he would employ a mini camera, often masked as a common pin or subtly integrated into a briefcase, to photograph the guards' keys as they lay casually on their desks or were hung on hooks in unguarded moments. These high-resolution images, captured without arousing even the slightest suspicion, provided the precise measurements, intricate cuts, and minute details needed to create near-perfect duplicates back at their underground workshop. This ingenious and low-tech method bypassed the need for any forced entry, any picking of a complex lock on the spot, turning a seemingly impossible physical obstacle into a simple matter of precise replication, a silent victory over mechanical security. Next, the critical phase of the operation involved the neutralization of the alarms. The vault was an absolute spiderweb of electronic sensors, sophisticated infrared heat detectors, sensitive motion detectors, and strategically placed light sensors, each designed to trigger an immediate alert upon the slightest unauthorized presence. The genius, the team's electronics expert and true expert in bypassing security systems, developed a series of incredibly effective countermeasures. For the infrared heat sensors, which detected body warmth, a remarkably simple yet brilliant trick was employed: a light mist of women's hairspray applied precisely and discreetly to the sensor's lens. The hairspray, transparent and quick-drying, created a temporary, almost imperceptible insulating layer that would mask the thermal signature of a human body, allowing the thieves to move through the area undetected for a crucial period, a window of opportunity where they were effectively invisible to the thermal eyes of the vault. For the light sensors, which would immediately trigger an alarm if the vault lights were turned on, the solution was even simpler and more audacious. Black plastic bags were accurately and carefully placed over the sensors, effectively blinding them and allowing the crew to work in fully illuminated conditions without triggering an alert, transforming a potential trap into a working environment. The motion detectors, which covered vast areas, were reportedly bypassed by creating a dead zone using a custom-built electronic device that subtly jammed their signals, creating a pocket of undetectable space for the thieves to operate within, a bubble of invisibility in a highly monitored environment.
The seismic floor, designed specifically to detect vibrations from drilling, cutting, or heavy movement within the vault, was another formidable and an impossible challenge. Any vibration would instantly trigger an alarm. The team's solution to this particular problem remains one of the most mysterious aspects of the heist, a proof to their cleverness. While definitive details are rare, some theories suggest they used specialized ultra-quiet tools that minimized vibration, allowing them to work without disturbing the sensitive sensors. Other theories propose they worked with such incredible precision and lightness of foot, almost like ghosts, that the sensors simply weren't triggered by their movements. Notarbartolo himself, in later interviews, hinted at a method that involved suspending themselves and their equipment in a way that isolated them from the floor surface, effectively creating a zero-vibration workspace, a testament to the crew's innovative and acrobatic approach to bypassing this advanced defense. Perhaps the most audacious and pivotal part of the entire plan involved the vault door's magnetic lock. This critical system relied on two precisely aligned metal plates, one mounted on the door itself and the other on the adjacent wall, forming a continuous magnetic field. If this field was broken, even for a split second, an immediate alarm would be triggered. The genius, once again demonstrating his unparalleled electronic and mechanical insight, devised a custom-made aluminum plate equipped with strong adhesive tapes. Days before the heist, during one of Notarbartolo's legitimate routine visits to the vault, a team member, likely the genius himself, operating under the camouflage of an ordinary tenant, would carefully and subtly remove the bottom screws securing the magnetic plates. The custom-made aluminum plate would then be precisely positioned and used to hold the two magnetic plates together, maintaining the continuous magnetic field even when the massive vault door was physically swung open. This ingenious and almost unbelievably simple trick allowed the door to be opened without ever breaking the magnetic circuit, rendering this critical alarm system completely useless and providing a silent, unhindered entry. The ultimate stroke of genius lay in the manipulation of the vault door's final closure. The entire success of the entry hinged on the exploitation of human error. Notarbartolo, through his years of accurate observation, knew that the vault was routinely locked at precisely 7 p.m. on Saturday evenings, a fixed and predictable routine. The plan was for a member of the crew, again camouflaged as a legitimate tenant, to enter the vault just before this critical closing time. They would access the rented safe deposit box, but upon leaving, they would intentionally leave the inner security gate of their box so slightly open, or perhaps place a tiny, almost invisible piece of tape over a sensor. This seemingly minor oversight would make it appear closed and secured to a hurried security guard performing a final check, but it would subtly prevent the full engagement of the vault's complex internal locking mechanism. This insignificant oversight, a deliberate act of misdirection, would ensure that the vault's main door, though appearing to be secured and locked from the outside, would not be fully engaged, allowing the team to simply walk in on the night of the heist without needing to pick the combination lock. This was the ultimate act of social engineering, turning the very trust placed in a regular tenant into the key that unlocked the impenetrable fortress, a silent betrayal of routine. The plan also accurately accounted for their surveillance tapes that continuously recorded activity throughout the building. The School of Turin had a precise countermeasure for this. They would either replace the legitimate tapes in the recording system with blank ones, ensuring no incriminating footage was captured, or, as some accounts suggest, used their electronic expertise to temporarily disable the recording function of the cameras, ensuring their actions went completely unrecorded and unobserved. This was another testament to their comprehensive approach, leaving absolutely no stone unturned, no potential vulnerability unaddressed, in their quest for a truly flawless execution. Every detail, from the grand strategy to the smallest technical workaround, was considered and planned for. Leonardo Notarbartolo, the quiet mastermind, was not directly involved in the physical breach of the vault itself on this fateful night. His role was more strategic, a conductor overseeing his orchestra of specialists from a nearby, discreetly parked getaway vehicle. Equipped with a police scanner, his ears were finely tuned to the city's pulse, monitoring for any unexpected police activity, any deviation from the predictable weekend calm. He was ready to signal his team or initiate an immediate escape if the accurately crafted plan encountered an unforeseen obstacle, ensuring their escape route was clear. Inside the vault, the atmosphere was one of silent, systematic, almost surgical work. The team operated primarily in near-total darkness, using only small, carefully directed flashlights for split-second illumination to position their tools and identify their targets. The Keyman and the Monster moved through the rows of safe deposit boxes with practiced efficiency. The Keyman utilized their perfectly duplicated keys to open the outer locks of the boxes. Each click was a silent victory. For the inner, more complex combination locks on each individual box, they employed a custom-made, hand-activated device. This specialized tool, reportedly crafted from common parts but inventively modified, allowed them to precisely manipulate the mechanisms and pop open the locks without causing excessive noise or damage that would trigger the sensitive seismic floor sensors. Their movements were fluid, their actions coordinated like a dance of theft. They worked tirelessly for approximately 5 hours, emptying 109 out of the 160 safe deposit boxes. Their effort was immense. They didn't just take diamonds, they took gleaming gold bars, intricate silver jewelry, other precious metals, and significant amounts of cash in various international currencies. They also took documents certifying the stone's authenticity and origin, vital for fencing the high-valued gems on the black market without raising immediate suspicion. The volume of loot was so immense, so overwhelming, that they reportedly had to leave some items behind, unable to carry everything, a testament to the unimaginable wealth they had accessed. As dawn began to approach, signaling the end of their operational window and the approaching return of the building staff, the team gathered their loads, carefully packing them into bags. Their final act inside the Diamond Center was to retrieve their surveillance tapes from the building's office, ensuring that no visual record of their presence remained, erasing their digital footprints. Then they exited the building through a pre-planned street exit, melting back into the quiet Antwerp night as seamlessly and silently as they had entered, leaving behind no trace but the chilling emptiness of a vault that was once believed to be unbreachable. No alarms were triggered, no security guards were confronted, no shots were fired. The infrared sensors remained silent, blind to their passage. The motion detectors registered nothing, fooled by their clocking devices. The seismic floor never vibrated, a testament to their light touch and specialized tools. The vault door, though open, hadn't broken its magnetic field, its fail-safe bypassed. It was in every measurable way a perfect crime. The School of Turin had achieved the impossible. They had vanished, taking with them a fortune that would shake the global diamond industry to its core, and leaving behind a mystery that would baffle authorities for days, a crime that defied all logic and expectation. The sun rose on Monday, February 17, 2003, casting long, cold shadows across the quiet street of Antwerp. For the thousands of diamond dealers, brokers, and security personnel who worked within the bustling Antwerp World Diamond Center, it was meant to be a return to routine, to the familiar rhythm of commerce, negotiation, and the unwavering assurance of security. The weekend's calm was to give way to the usual weekday hum of activity, but this particular Monday morning would be anything but ordinary. It would be the day the world learned that the impenetrable had been preached, that the impossible had become a chilling, undeniable reality, and that the very symbol of their industry's security had been utterly compromised. The initial discovery was made by a security guard arriving for his usual morning shift. As he approached the main vault door, his trained eye, adapted to every minute detail of its imposing presence, registered a subtle anomaly. The massive multi-ton door, which should have been sealed, was slightly open. It was barely noticeable, a gap of just millimeters, perhaps just enough to slide a thin sheet of paper through, but for a guard intimately familiar with the vault's design, it was enough to send a shock of ice through his veins. A cold terror began to spread, his heart pounding with a mix of disbelief and growing alarm. He immediately contacted his supervisor, his voice tight with an urgency that contradicted the apparent calm of this morning.
Within minutes, the alarm was officially raised, and the quiet district began to mingle with an unwelcome, unsettling energy. The initial response from law enforcement and building management was a mix of profound disbelief and historical urgency. Police cruisers, their sirens cutting through the morning calm, flooded the Diamond District, their flashing lights painting the historic buildings in a warning glow. Investigators, initially skeptical that such a famous and secure vault could have been compromised, prepared themselves for what they assumed would have been a false alarm, a minor technical malfunction, or perhaps a small isolated incident. The idea of a successful breach was simply unthinkable, but as they descended 2 floors below ground into the subterranean chamber and entered the vault antechamber, the scene that greeted them shattered all illusions of security, all defined notions of invulnerability. The vault door indeed was open. It stood as silent, gaping jaws, a state of violation that defied all logic. Inside, the scene was one of utter, systematic devastation. Safe deposit boxes, hundreds of them, were not merely opened, they had been violently pried apart, the robust steel and copper shells twisted and distorted, their contents scattered across the floor in a chaotic, glaring mess. Diamonds, gleaming gold bars, intricate silver jewelry, other precious metals, and various international currencies lay scattered within the wreckage, a glittering, heartbreaking testament to the scale of the theft. The air within the vault was heavy with the metallic trace of forced steel, the harsh scent of violated security, and the silent scream of unimaginable loss. It was a tableau of chaos and destruction, yet there was no sign of forced entry on the main vault door itself. No drill marks damaged its surface, no explosive residue clung to its massive frame, no telltale signs of a violent physical breach. It was as if the thieves had simply walked in, bypassed every layer of defense with an unseen hand, and then walked out, leaving behind only the wreckage of a shattered illusion. The initial assessment of the loss was staggering, sending shockwaves far beyond the confines of Antwerp, over $100 million in valuables, making it at that time the largest diamond heist in the history. The news spread like wildfire. The international media descended upon Antwerp, their cameras and microphones hungry for details, captivated by the audacity of the crime and the apparent flawlessness of its execution. Headlines screamed about the heist of the century, painting a bright picture of criminal masterminds who had not only outsmarted but utterly humiliated the most advanced security systems on the planet. The police, however, were confused. There were no fingerprints, no witnesses, no obvious leads, no conventional clues to follow. The thieves had seemingly vanished into thin air, leaving behind a baffled law enforcement community, a shaken global diamond industry, and the public mesmerized by the audacity of the crime. The investigation quickly went cold, the perfect crime seemingly destined to remain unsolved. But then, in a twist of fate that was as ironic as it was crucial, carelessness intervened. Days after the heist, on an ordinary afternoon, a local hunter, enjoying the tranquility of a remote wooded area near the E19 motorway, a major route connecting Antwerp and Brussels, stumbled upon a discarded garbage bag. It was a mild finding, the kind of unsightly litter that often ruins natural landscapes. However, as the hunter pushed the bag with his foot, his curiosity aroused by its unusual bulk, he noticed something highly unusual: envelopes bearing the distinct and unmistakable logo of the Antwerp World Diamond Center. Surprised and with growing sense of unease, he immediately called the police, unaware that he had just stumbled upon the key to unlocking the century's greatest mystery. What the police found inside the ordinary garbage bag was the fatal mistake that would permanently spoil the School of Turin's perfect crime and expose their accurately planned operation. The bag contained a treasure of incriminating evidence, discarded receipts, bank statements, and surveillance footage from the Diamond Center's security cameras, tapes that the thieves believed they had successfully removed or destroyed. Among the garbage, a detail that would prove to be the most crucial was also a partially eaten salami sandwich, a seemingly trivial piece of discarded food that would yield invaluable DNA evidence.
This was the critical error, the single catastrophic misstep that transformed an uncatchable ghost into a tangible suspect. The getaway driver, later identified as Pietro Tavano, alias Speedy, had been tasked with the crucial responsibility of disposing of the evidence, specifically by burning it to ash. However, his anxious and somewhat paranoid nature, a trait that Notarbartolo had perhaps underestimated, had gotten the better of him. Instead of ensuring the complete and utter destruction of the incriminating materials, he had simply tossed the bag into the woods, believing it to be a remote and undiscoverable location, a place where it would simply vanish without a trace. His panic had overridden his professionalism, leading to the undoing of the entire operation. The discovery of this bag was a monumental breakthrough for the frustrated investigators. The police quickly connected the receipts and documents directly to Leonardo Notarbartolo, who had rented the office and safe deposit box in the Diamond Center, confirming his long-suspected involvement. The DNA from the salami sandwich provided irrefutable forensics evidence, a biological fingerprint linking him directly to the scene of the crime, sealing his fate. The man who had spent 2 years accurately building a front of trust, who had engineered the heist of unparalleled precision, was undone by a simple act of lettering, a moment of human weakness. The perfect crime, it turned out, had a very messy flow. The hunt for the School of Turin had begun in intense, and with the mastermind identified, the unraveling of the entire crew was now inevitable. Notarbartolo was eventually convicted and sentenced to 10 years in prison for orchestrating the heist. 3 other members of the School of Turin, Ferdinando Finotto, the monster, Elio Donorio, the genius, and Pietro Tavano, Speedy, were also identified, apprehended, and received shorter sentences, the rules in the audacious crime confirmed by the evidence. However, the identity of the 5th member, the key man, remains unknown to this day, and he has never been apprehended or brought to justice. This enduring secrecy adds another layer to the heist's charm, suggesting that a part of the School of Turin remains indefinable, a ghost in the machine, perhaps still operating in the shadows. Perhaps the most enduring and frustrating mystery of the Antwerp diamond heist is the ultimate fate of the stolen diamonds. Despite the arrests, convictions, and extensive international investigations, the vast majority of the estimated $100 million in gems has never been recovered. Only a fraction, reported as $20 million worth, was ever accounted for, leaving a gap hole in the narrative. Where did the rest go? Were they actually fenced on the black market, broken down into similar untraceable stones to avoid detection? Or are they still hidden away in some secret reserve, waiting for the right moment to resurface, a hidden treasure still out there? Notarbartolo himself has constantly refused to reveal their location, maintaining a persistent code of silence that has only deepened the mystery, adding to his own legend. The legacy of the Antwerp diamond heist is one of a kind. For the global security industry, it served as a stark, humbling, and utterly unforgettable lesson. It exposed the critical vulnerabilities that can arise even in the most technologically advanced and foolproof systems when human elements such as trust, routine, and arrogance are overlooked or exploited. Security protocols across the diamond trade and other high-value industries were severely re-evaluated, and new, more strict measures were implemented, emphasizing comprehensive, multi-layered defenses that factored in human behavior as much as technological safeguards. The industrial learned that arrogance, even in the face of advanced technology, can be its own greatest weakness. For the public, the story became a captivating true crime saga, a narrative that distorted the lines between reality and the most elaborate Hollywood thrillers. It has inspired countless books, detailed documentaries, and even fictionalized TV series, cementing its place in popular culture as the ultimate perfect heist, a benchmark for criminal imagination that continues to fascinate. Yet, even after all these years, with the key players identified and the methods largely understood, the Antwerp diamond heist remains a puzzle with missing pieces. We know much of the how, and we have identified most of the who, but the ultimate why, the true deeper motive behind such an audacious act, and the definitive where,
of the missing fortune continue to overwhelm us, shrouded in secrecy and speculation. It is a testament to the enduring power of a story that, despite its resolution in a courtroom, still holds profound secrets, a reminder that sometimes the most brilliant crimes leave behind not just empty folds, but an echoing silence of unanswered questions that may never be fully resolved. The diamonds may be gone, scattered into the shadowy corners of the world, but the legend of their disappearance and the audacity of the minds that orchestrated it will never sparkle, a dark gem in the criminal history.